Well, that went startlingly well. Welcome to the Andreas Conspiracy. Support exert.us and check out our new Patreon /exertus. So I made a Patreon, and the way it works is entrance is free, citizenship with access to the forum is $1. So today I want to talk about something near and dear to my heart, which is Flight 370. But I want to preface this story by saying I believe I am within my rights of contract to discuss this story. Turner has huge storage facilities with cassette tape reels, even to this day. And in fact, it takes a robot to pick up one cassette and play it with another machine. And the way it works is I send a message from my computer terminal to their server system, which then has a robot pick up a cassette reel, play that reel in a giant VCR, which then records the content onto the local server that can be used for the next week or so by the data server at Turner. There are so many tapes, you have to know what to look for, and it makes it really difficult to find things. So they brought me in so I could describe to them how to use meta tags. And this is, by the way, before anyone understood what hashtags were. Me, the philosopher. Not just by CNN, but by people around the world. Without a breath, my first thought was, where in the world is Flight 370? Hashtag Gilligan's Island. Which is a Carmen Sandiego reference and was before anyone had any idea that the plane probably went missing somewhere between the CIA and MI5 islands of Diego Garcia. Or about Freescale, the Rockefeller-Rothschild essentially controlled technology company, the secret military intelligence island. And this was a joke about Gilligan's Island, not Fantasy Island, because Bob Denver had recently been pronounced dead again. Not to be confused with Herbie Villachez, who did die. But Bob Denver had been pronounced dead apparently 100 and some odd times, and the number kept changing. I found this really interesting. And in fact, sometimes I go back and find that the dates that it said when he died have changed. And Bob Denver's a kind of interesting guy. You see, Bob Denver played a character named Maynard G. Krebs in a show called Dobie, Gillis, which was the first teenage-centric show and was sort of the 50s version of Clarissa Explains It All. And it may seem like a sort of innocuous show until you think of metatag and the subtleties of programming. And the show co-stars a woman named Sheila James Cool. She's important and we'll get into why later. Dobie Gillis, which I'd never heard of until about 2016, which was weird considering how much television I'd watched, especially classics. And considering I work for Turner, I had access to so many shows. I had 6 television screens in front of my desk at all times, playing every channel at once. So just for some perspective, the fact that I didn't see the show before is weird. Maynard G. Krebs, who's afraid of work and uses the W word to describe it, stutters as he says it, and is a sort of beatnik who plays the bongos and keeps in his pocket a petrified frog. But this show apparently was very important to so many people from the 50s and 60s generation. But currently, Bob Denver's first recorded death occurred in 1961. He was subsequently reported dead 36 separate different times in 30 different states. And Dobie Gillis is a weird show. Another strange thing was after I purchased episodes of this difficult to find show, it immediately became available on the internet as if I'd filled in the pages like Pleasantville. Notice behind him he's standing in front of a statue of Rodin's thinker, otherwise known as the poet. And while working on the 11th floor of the CNN tower, I kept my desk full of pictures of Quantum Leap, which was a show I found rather entertaining. There is a conspiracy theory. Something strange I noticed about the Rodin statue, I've been to the museum and seen it multiple times, is that it also looks different than as I remember it. The hand position of his pontification shows a rather solemn view. As he stands above the gates of hell, it is very clear the mode of his thought. It is not inspired, it is pensive. And some say all other dimensions are open through the gates of hell into Dante's Inferno, and that there is quite a portal that'll open through the Stargate. Maybe it's some sort of Mandala effect. You see what I did there? But the thing about Sheila that's relevant is that she is alive to this day, and in fact she's quite important. In fact, she's less famous than important. She is the supervisor in Los Angeles County, and apparently she's done quite a bit of good because she's trying to bring back the natural-powered electric trains. And Bob Denver has an interesting past as well with the Loyola alumni history. And early on in the Dobie Gillis show, it shows how he nearly walks away the first season, and apparently Dobie Gillis almost never happened because he was intended to be drafted. But as luck would have it, his sister was working on a film set, and she brought him in from his university, Loyola University, which if you haven't seen it, you guessed it has Tartarian architecture. So is it possible that Bob Denver came into our timeline once more to save the lives of everyone, or is it some sort of a weird metaphor for what's going on in our universe? You decide. Either way, I thought it was interesting enough to make a quick video about. Thanks for watching, and check out our Patreon, it's pretty cool.